Hello, ladies and jelly spoons. Welcome to 24K Movies, TV shows, video game reviews. The place where our voices are never paid for or sponsored. That is, unless Doritos, you want to reach out to it, brother. I can eat some Doritos on camera. I got you. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we watch movies and we grade them on scales from absolute rust, which is trash and horrible, thumbs down, to absolute triple platinum shining monikers of movie, cinema, TV, hell, even songs we got on here. But ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, over the years, things have gone down when it comes to movies, television shows, video games, every form of media. Just recently, I was treated to watch two of my favorite. I was going to pit them against each other in a movie review, but instead I think they deserve their own separate critiques. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are going to talk about Superman 2025 today. Spoiler review. If you haven't seen Superman and you don't want spoilers, turn away in 3, 2, 1. You've been warned. Now, I don't pull punches here. I let you know what it is. It is what it is. Now, everybody else has their opinion on certain things, and sometimes opinions are like buttholes, the old additive, they all stink. I get it. But we're going to state just the facts of what we are. And we grew up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s on comic books. Like, literally. Now, I know when it comes from a comic book representation to a movie representation, something is always lost. But we also live in a world where there's been 15 different Supermans, 20 different Batmans, 6 different Spider-Mans. Like, there's too many changes in the superhero franchise, both Marvel, DC, Image. Like, there's so many changes when it comes to characters and who played it best. But someone has to draw the line. Someone has to state the obvious. And unfortunately, I'm going to tell it like it is. Say it like it is. What they say nowadays. Say it plain. I'm going to tell you like it is. So we're going to watch a little bit of a trailer of Superman. It's probably going to be cut to hell because I know they're probably really jumping on people for doing trailers on Superman. So I'm going to give you little bits and pieces of it, and then I'm going to come back and unpack it for you. Spoiler alert, if you don't know anything about Superman, I don't know where you've been, but you might have been on a deserted island. It happened. Benedict, Arnold Schwarzenegger, twins. Nothing. Anyway, I'm going to show you a little bit. We'll come back and I'll unpack it. This is not going to be a long review because I didn't enjoy the movie. Spoiler alert. There it is. I didn't enjoy the movie, but I'll tell you why. There are key moments where I saw light at the end of the tunnel, but unfortunately, we'll talk about it when I come back. So just stay right there.
Ready?
Let's do it, Cronkite.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
Recently, you've come under a lot of fire for what some might. It's a lot. Today, the Secretary of Defense said he was going to look into your actions. That's funny.
My actions? I stopped a war.
Maybe.
Not maybe. I did.
In effect, you illegally entered a country.
This is how you're gonna be?
I'm not the one being interviewed, Superman. Did you consult with the president?
No.
You seemingly acting as a representative of the United States
representing anybody except for me. And doing good.
I would question myself in the same situation and consider the consequences.
People were going to die.
All right, so that's as much as the trailer I'm going to show. From the trailer, it's cut in a certain way where you see a ton of action and it's a ton of moments. And I would say that when it comes to moments because I'm just going to say it. Look, James Gunn has a propensity of nerfing superheroes. I did not like the way the Guardians was done and some of the characters were nerfed when they're super ultra powerful. Did not like the Incredible Hulk being nerfed, and I don't like my Superman nerfed. Do you understand? He's Superman, a man of Krypton. And I say that because it can't be overstated enough. The entire length of this movie, Superman gets his ass kicked. The entire length of this movie, there is something out there beating the hell out of him, pounding him down into nothing. And don't get me wrong, I understand this is the early years of Superman and he's never been defeated before and everything and this and that. But you did what you weren't supposed to do by taking woke real life politics and infusing it into a comic book feel-good fantasy movie. And this cannot stand. This cannot stand. I don't give a damn who's at the helm of directing it. You hide it veilly, but see through you. See through you I can, as Yoda once said. Because the politics of real life in this movie, I understand it, but it's been done to death. And it's funny because the man who now is at the helm of DC was also in Marvel, who told the same political problems and the same political stories, and that's what drove it off the rails into a deep precipice of dog shit. Now, when I say that, no disrespect to Gunn, no disrespect to his brother, no disrespect to the production staff, but Superman, he's from another planet. He gets his power from the yellow sun. He is not a 90-minute joke. And that's exactly what happened in this movie. First of all, it's been, 5 years since Superman premiered himself and saved the world. Yet, over a internet clip, which is funny because that's real life cancellation, he was canceled over real life clip of his family saying, go there and rule over them, and humans are dumb and rule over them. We sent you to rule over them. Here's the thing. He saved the world how many times over, and yet based off of a movie clip, when you know there is AI, clickbait, and all kind of bullshit, you expect the world to turn their back on him over one clip after he saved the world how many times over. And it puzzles me because it's stupidity. It's stupidity. I said it before. Spider-Man 1 with was it Tobey Maguire? Was it Tobey Maguire? Was Tobey Maguire? Yeah, it was Tobey Maguire. Not Garfield, not Holland. Yeah, Tobey Maguire. Spider-Man 2 had a moment where he was on the train fighting Doc Ock, and he was getting his ass handed to him to the point where the people saw that he was just a kid fighting for them, and they were willing to die and fight for their hero. That is a big moment when it comes to a comic book feeling. Because in the comics, you're left to your imagination of what happens, the voices, the sounds, the moments, the emotions. When it comes to the movies, you show it. How could this be called Superman when there was nothing super about him but pathetic? He got beat by regular people. He got torn down by regular society. He got ridiculed by a ordinary Lois Lane. And I've never seen one Spider-Man iteration where Lois did not have Superman's back. And then we're not dating, we're just friends, I was gonna break up with him. Like, all this little real woke bullshit does not belong in a Superman movie, and it tanks it tanks the feeling so much to the point that I had to look away. Look, I'm not gonna go against the actor David Corenswet or the direction they went for this movie, and there were definitely presence in it, Mr. Terrific being one of them, Hawk Girl. There's so many things in this movie that stand out as a positive. Even Guy Gardner, Nathan Fillion as a Lantern. I would not have gone with him. I would have went with maybe Hal Jordan, but whatever. You could have done the red cat lantern. There's so many things you could have done since you put a dog in this movie and did Crypto. You could have done the cat lantern, the red cat lantern. There's so many things you could have done in here, but you didn't. You yada yada over his life and his episode. And look, this is going to sound bad, but this is my stamp on the approval. I understand regular people exist because I'm one of them. I'm not the sexiest man in the world. I'm not the most beautiful man in the world. I do just like everybody else in this world. But to say that there aren't pretty people, to say that there aren't exceptions, that you're just like, oh my God, like Greek people would have carved statues out of you. To give you an example, Henry Cavill's body is probably one of the perfect renditions of a Superman body. I'm not talking about his face, I'm not talking about his hair. His body looks like it's chiseled out of marble. Like, that is the perfect physique of Superman. And even going back to Christopher Reeve's body was amazing as Superman, but he purveyed a better, more believable Superman with less technology and less story ability than this modern day 2025 James Gunn Superman. Because
Mind you, that Christopher Reeves took over for his father, and he looked exactly like his father from the original Superman.
true, that's the nightmare creature back there. Say hi, nightmare creature.
Hi.
All right. So, watching this movie, I have the ability, and I don't want to have to compare it to the 11 different Supermans we had, but let's talk about it. Let's just bring some of this to the forefront, shall we? Just a little bit. Let's take Smallville, the TV show. The father being one of the Dukes of Hazzard brothers, Annette O'Toole being the mother. Let's go back to Superman back in the day. The Kents have always been lookers. No matter what iteration they've done. I mean, hell, you can go back to Marlon Brando being Superman's father. You can go back to Russell Crowe being Superman's father. There's so many different looks to the regal House of L family. This movie divided him from his parents, which none other movie ever really did that. Like, at its core, it should be a person standing up against the world to save the world from itself and foreign and domestic entities. That's what Superman is. He's larger than life. He's more than an idea. He's an inspiration and inspires. And this movie, people either loved him or hated him at the drop of a dime due to the writing. And it really sucked me out of this movie. Every fight, including the last fight, he got his ass beat all over. Like, and I hated it. And here's the thing. I hated this about Mortal Kombat 2. Stop giving us every 5 seconds a slow motion moment with the title song in it. Every 5 seconds. He's fighting somebody. He comes out of the smoke. The sun shines. Dun, 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 dun. I could see that once or twice, but you did it I counted more than 11 times. More than 11 times where something happened, something peeked through. Dun, 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 dun. No, stop. It's the same thing. It comes to a point, it becomes so campy and horrible. You remember it from Mortal Kombat 1, the movie back in the 90s? I challenge you. Mortal Kombat. Liu Kang, you will die. Mortal Kombat. Scorpion and Sub-Zero, deadliest of enemies, but slaves under my control. Mortal Kombat. They did the same thing in here, where literally every few scenes. Why are we posing? You're getting your ass whooped. No time to pose. You ain't posing for animal crackers. You're getting your ass whooped. The Hammer beat you. The tech lady beat you with nanites. The weird creature that could turn into anything else beat you. The little guy from the town beat you. Like, Crypto beat you. Like, everybody beat you in this damn movie. So why is it Superman? It's not Superman. She just called it Man. Like, this hurts me as a comic book aficionado. This hurts me as a Superman movie, because there were pockets of moments where it was great. And this is what I'm talking about that really pisses me off about this movie. There were moments where an emotion could have been felt, and it would have been a great moment. But just in that moment, you have to interject a gun joke. Gunn, as a director, loves putting jokes in movies, almost to the point of its detriment. Like, literally, not everything is a friggin' joke. Like, you could have literally had great dramatic moments in this, but you couldn't let it last. The sound, the visuals, everything for a few seconds, she's like, oh, this is a great moment. And then comes a stupid joke. We don't need that. Yes, there's comedy and levity amongst a great movie like Superman, but you don't need a joke every friggin' 5 minutes. Not everything is a friggin' joke. And let me tell you something. You stole, Gunn. You plagiarized. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I said it. You plagiarized. You sitting there having Superman fight And like I said, a spoiler alert, if you guys don't know, there's a guy in a gigantic suit. We don't know what it is. Turns out it's a clone of Superman. You can call him Bizarro. You can call him everything you want. It's a clone of Superman. It's another Dave Cornsweet with long hair that looks a lot better as Superman than the Superman that we got. He's a much cooler Superman. And I like it. He doesn't talk much. He's just action. Great job. Whatever. But there is a point where they're fighting. And I swear I would have not have been surprised if Lex Luthor pulled out an Xbox controller and started playing with it. I would not be surprised if he didn't pull out a controller and started playing with it. What plagiarism am I talking about? Every 5 seconds while they're fighting. B4, A7, 9-3, A14, bingo! Now you got it. And you may ask, what did he plagiarize? None other than Harry Potter. Knight to King 4. We know Harry has to go on. Not me, not you, not Hermione. Do you remember that game of chess? How Ron called out every move as it was going? That's what Lex does. Now here's the funny part. Not only did he plagiarize from Harry Potter, if you go back and watch Superman, I believe 2, it's either 2 or 3, where there's a gigantic supercomputer at the end, and the computer pulls somebody in and turns them into a circuit man or circuit woman, which I'm going to say was much scarier than the tech nanobot queen. And can we just stop with the nanobots? Every damn movie now just goes to the nanobot and different worlds theory. Like, it's been done to death. Enough of it. Nanobots ruined the last Terminator movie. I'm sorry. John Connor was infected with nanites. No, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. It's almost as bad as the different universe thing that you keep doing, multiple universe thing. It's been done to death. Be original. Be aggressive. And that original Superman with Christopher Reeves at the helm, there is a thing where they're fighting Superman with missiles, and it's on a video game console, and you can see Superman flying around and the rockets exploding in front of him, and the guy's literally got a controller and he's playing a game. He's literally playing a game. Sound familiar? Oh yeah, because it's pantomimed in this movie. But like I said, at a certain point it's good, but at a certain point it's overdone. You doing that for 3 fights in a row with Superman, B14, A9, it's stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid. Like, I know people are afraid to tell you this because you're the big director, but it's stupid. Dose it out in minimal. Less is more. Less is more. And here's another thing. Why even put Supergirl in this movie if she was only in it for 5 seconds to be a friggin'
side character,
a YouTube, TikTok throwback of a girl who drinks? So you're telling me she's just a TikTok star who drinks, who comes in for 5 minutes to call her dog back, call Superman a bitch, and leave? Like, that woke bullshit does not belong in a Superman movie. It doesn't belong. And what was the point of having her there? Matter of fact, what were point of having the Justice guys in this? And I say that because it made me so angry. You got the Hall of Justice, but they're the Justice gang, the Justice guys. Nobody could see the Justice League at all. Nobody could even coin it in there. But here's the thing. At a certain point, the world forgot about the rest of the Justice League. It was only Mr. Terrific. Matter of fact, I would say for 30 minutes straight, Guy Gardner, Hawk Girl, everything else was forgotten about. I forgot they were even in the damn movie. Until they brought them back in to fight Baravia or Barava or Baklava, that company, that nation, whatever it is. And look, no disrespect to Mr. Holt, who was in Warm Bodies. I liked you better than Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. That's the thing. I did like you better because it made me hate you in certain moments because you just being evil. And here's the thing. You had a moment where Luthor became the Joker. And anybody who's ever played Injustice, you know what I'm talking about. There's an evilness to the Joker who taunts Superman after Lois and the baby are unalived. And Superman ends up killing the Joker and going evil. There was a moment in here that I almost half expected it. There was even a moment where the creature guy who can replicate different things was trying to replicate the sun, and he was doing like a different type of power, and I expected Superman to come back badass, but of course he didn't, because this entire movie is about how weak Superman is. He's not Superman in this movie, and it irks me. It irks me that he needs to be saved by everyone and everything. Superman is not that dumb. He's smart. And here's the thing. Look, I'm just going to say it. The best thing about Superman 2025 was Krypto. The best thing was Krypto. The CG was pretty good. There were times I could see it was just a CG dog. But there were times, general times, where I'm like, I enjoyed seeing Krypto on the scene. He's what I waited for. Superman, I could have taken or leave him in this movie. And like I was talking about before, when it comes to actors and actresses being beautiful, there is a whole movement in Hollywood now to make everybody as regular looking as possible on TV, in movies, and everywhere else. And look, there's nothing wrong with looking regular. There's nothing wrong with being regular. But me next to Brad Pitt, me next to Arnold Schwarzenegger, me next to Carl Weathers, you're going to see a difference. You're going to see a difference in physique, a difference in looks, a different in aspect. And look, I'm okay with that. I don't need to be Carl Weathers. I'm Rain. I don't need to be Arnold. I'm Rain. I don't need to be Brad Pitt. I'm Rain. I think Brad Pitt is beautiful too. I think Mel Gibson is gorgeous. Look, it's okay to find people attractive. It's okay to find people beautiful. It's okay to find a good-looking person attractive in the movie. I'm pretty sure that's why they picked them. My problem is you're normalizing things in situations where they shouldn't be normalized. For instance, there's an actress in this movie who works at the Daily Planet who they refer to as Kat. You know who I'm talking about if you've seen this movie, because her boobs are the main characters of her storyline. Matter of fact, most of you probably didn't even know her name, but you knew the boobs, the blonde with big boobs, and you're like, why is she here? She's there because she's blonde and has big boobs. Why was she on a helicopter? Why was she in a special spaceship at the end? Why was she given this role? Because she's blonde with big boobs. Think about it. That was her only motivation for this movie.
And I could count that there were 2 blondes with big boobs.
But what her only motivation for this movie was to just be eye candy. Think about that. She wasn't Jimmy Olsen's love interest, which is another thing. My boy from The Quarry, who played Jimmy Olsen, you didn't think I knew. I recognized you. I recognized you. I played The Quarry so long, for so many sessions. How could you think I would not notice you from The Quarry? Matter of fact, I saved you in The Quarry. You owed me a good stage presence, and you delivered. You as Jimmy Olsen, I give you credit. You did your due diligence, you did your job, but I'm not buying that you didn't want to spend time with the hot girl from the prison in Lex Luthor's complex, Lex Luthor's side piece. I'm not buying, maybe I'm buying Nicholas Hoult didn't want her, but I'm not buying that you didn't want to spend a weekend with that. You know what? Everybody's got their own presets and prerequisites. Hey, to each is your own. You can choose who you want to love, who you want to be with, but I'm not buying that hotness is something you did not want to spend your time with. Get the hell out of here. She asked you for a day in the weekend. Oh, well, I'm busy. I got stuff I want to do. Bro, come on. Come on. Let's be real. Y'all gonna be real. I'm gonna be real. Let's be real together. Look, you're not an ugly brother. I'm not saying you ugly in any way, shape, or imagination. Like I said, I played as you. I played with you. Pause. That sounded bad. In The Quarry for hours. I am familiar with your face. I'm familiar with your isms. I'm not buying that you're above her. I'm not buying it. Not buying it. Not even. I did like your role. I did like what you did and what you brought to the presentation, but I'm not buying that. Sorry, not buying it. Now, the tech woman who has the nanites and is made out of nanites. Look, I don't care if she's made out of robots. She's not made out of steel. She's not made out of kryptonite. I counted 4 chest shots that Superman, a sun-infused, roided out Kryptonian, punched you in your chest piece and you just got back up, even in the baseball field. That's bullshit. Not buying it. Not buying it. Do you know how strong Superman's punches are? Don't give me that shit. She ate it and she got back up. No, don't give me that. Because Krypto hit her full on with one hit, scratched her face in the Fortress of Solitude, and put her down for a few seconds. Superman is stronger than Krypto, and Krypto can't ball off his little puppy paws and punch. He just scratched her. Now, Superman aired her out in her chest piece 4 times. Four. Ain't no way she eating that and getting back up. I don't care. But once again, you have to nerf Superman by making her just as strong. What's the point of having a Superman movie if everybody is just as strong as Superman? I get the clone. Don't get me wrong. I get the hammer guy, the clone guy. I get him because he was made from Superman's DNA. I get it. Not lost on me. But everybody else being just as strong as Superman and the Justice League, and I'm going to call them what they are. They're the Justice League. Not respecting Superman? Look, Nathan Fillion is funny. Weird haircut aside, yeah, it's close to the comic books. It's comic book accurate. It is. Guy Gardner. Comic book accurate. But of all the lanterns you could have chose, why Gardner? Mr. Terrific stole a lot of the scenes when he was on board here. But I'm going to say something that I can't take back. And y'all either going to forgive me or hate me for it. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but it's just true. Mr. Terrific, one of the best parts of the new Superman 2025 movie, there were a couple of times where he was acting that I saw Robert Downey Jr. as Lincoln Osiris. I'm sorry. Tropic Thunder, Robert Downey Jr., Colonel Lincoln Osiris. There was a bunch of times where Mr. Terrific spoke that I literally saw Robert Downey Jr.'s face, and I expected him to be like, whoa, what do you mean, you people? I'm not saying Mr. Terrific took acting cues from Robert Downey Jr. and Tropic Thunder. I'm going to say there are literal points where I could put Robert Downey Jr.'s face as Colonel Lincoln Osiris onto Mr. Terrific with some of the lines he said, some of the things he did, the way he was acting. I was just like, this is Robert Downey Jr. from Tropic Thunder. I think this is the reason why everybody loves Mr. Terrific. Think about the lines. And if you watch the movie, go back in your mind. Think about the one-liners. Think about when he showed up. They made him blacker than black and then black, yo. I'm black, yo. I'm black, yo. I'm blacker than black and then black, yo. Look, we get the fact that Mr. Terrific is black. James Gunn. We get the fact that he's black. But why everything he say gotta sound like Jim Kelly from Enter the Dragon? I swear there was one time when he was at the portal and he was talking to the lady when the portal was opening, where I expected him to lean forward with the Gene Kelly line from Enter the Dragon and say, man, you come straight out of a comic book. And if y'all don't know what Enter the Dragon is or who Jim Kelly is, we missed the whole line. Because the afro, the hair, that's another thing Mr. Terrific was, and he was literally embodying 2 characters. Colonel Lincoln Osiris from Tropic Thunder and definitely Jim Kelly from Enter the Dragon. But I know, Phil, you're going to find this hilarious because, my brother, I know if you watch these. Yeah, think about it. If you haven't seen Superman and you get a chance to watch Superman, have Robert Downey Jr.'s character and Jim Kelly in your mind when you watch it. And every single last scene with Mr. Terrific, you're going to find absolutely hilarious. And that's what I did. At a certain point, I'm like, I can't unsee it. I can't unsee it. So there, I said it. Yes, I said it. And I might even for the thumbnail put Colonel Lincoln Osiris' face over Mr. Terrific for this video. I might. I'm tinkering with the idea of doing that. Anyway, what do I think of this movie in a rating? Okay, so let me start by saying Platinum is off the table. Platinum is off the table. I have definitely seen superhero movies worthy of Platinum. Platinum is not there. But on the other aspect, I will take Rusted Metal and Copper off the table because I've seen worse superhero movies. Worse. What about Darkman? Do you know how pissed off I was when I heard about Darkman? I'm thinking it was about a black superhero. It turns out it was a white dude that was burnt real bad. Yeah, Durant. You remember that? Die, Darkman, Die 2, The Return of Durant. Mantis was a better superhero And most of you don't even know who Mantis is. Mantis was a TV series from the 90s where this black dude in a wheelchair had these amazing cycles and tech things, and he was a superhero wearing green. If you haven't seen Mantis, you missed out on a comic book phenomenon. Like, I love Mantis. I have season 1 on my computer. I couldn't dedicate any more seasons to Mantis because it's Mantis. It's not the best thing I've ever seen, but it's not the worst. How many of y'all saw My Secret Identity with Chris O'Connell from Stand By Me? Y'all don't know about that? I'll tell you, for my old people who don't know, it came on like, you'll never guess my secret identity. And he was a superhero known as Ultraman. He flew with spray cans. Like, he had the ability to float, but he had like hairspray cans and aerosol cans, and he would fly with aerosol cans and solve mysteries and crimes with his Christopher Lloyd-esque scientist partner. That was the 90s. That had more potential in episodes and storyline than Superman 2025. You don't understand. I come from a long line of super people, because now they're called metahumans. That's the new PC coin term. They're metahumans. But I come from a long time of comic book superheroes, and I'm telling you, this movie had an opportunity to do what people have failed with Superman for so many different entries and so many different years. I'll tell you a better Superman moment that destroyed this. How many of you guys saw that Batman movie, the Flash movie with Michael Keaton as Batman? That new Flash movie. Well, not new, but the Flash movie with, I'm not going to say his name because he's been in the news for doing some bad things. But Michael Keaton is in that movie. And I know a lot of people didn't want to, I'm just going to say it. What the hell? Ezra Miller as the Flash. A lot of people didn't want to see that movie because Ezra Miller, the things he did in real life. You kind of killed yourself, because seeing Michael Keaton as Batman again and put on the Batman uniform in DC Comics was a moment that needed to be celebrated by all the people who are comic book movie aficionados and comic book collectors, because seeing Michael Keaton don the bat suit and the bat plane and be Batman one more time is something I never knew was going to happen. Something I never dreamed could happen. Something that made that movie a little bit higher. But at the end of that Flash movie, there's a cameo of a bunch of different worlds coming in. And you see a bunch of different Superman. You see George Reeves, you see the comic book, you see Christopher Reeves, and then you see Nicolas Cage as Superman. Because for most of you who didn't know, there was a Superman movie with Nicolas Cage as Superman. And there was a lot of it shot. So much to the point where this movie was going to be made. And there had always been talks and rumors about it. And I was like, I can't picture Nicolas Cage as Superman in no shape, size, or form. But seeing him in the blue suit with the cape and the long hair, it made me want something from Superman. It made me want to see a Superman that I had not seen before. And I was angry that this is the reiteration you get after you fire Henry Cavill. Look, Henry Cavill looks like the perfect Superman. I'm not buying a big buff Clark Kent who looks like Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill is such a big, muscular Adonis of a man with chiseled features. I'm not buying him as Clark. I get that. Clark could fold me into a pretzel if he was Henry Cavill. But as Superman, he is the perfect Superman. Perfect body type, everything. Perfect Superman. You can go back to Brandon Routh playing Superman in the movie with Kevin Spacey. I like some aspects of that reiteration. You could go back. I'm not mentioning Dean Cain at all because I'm not really feeling him right now at all. So you have been etched out. Matter of fact, later today, I'm going to go in and delete my Superman and Lois with Terry Hatcher because you're in it. Period. I love Terry Hatcher, but I had a little bit of faith in you. And with everything that's going on right now, you sir, an asshole. So I'm deleting you from that. But you can also go back to Christopher Reeves, George Reeves, All the different people who played Superman.
Hell, even Tom Welling in Smallville.
Yeah. Okay, there is a look and a strength to Clark, but there is also a look and a strength to Superman. And can we stop changing the suits? See, look, this is already going on longer than I expected to. I did not expect to do a 30-minute review.
Can I just say that suit looked like straight up pajamas on him?
Yeah. There were actually moments where it was baggy on his butt and different parts of his body. Can we at least agree on the suit Superman came to Earth in was from his native land? That is the suit that he wears. That's the reason why it's bulletproof. That's the reason why it's impervious. That's the reason why it literally... Superman is the only superhero who transforms into a human being. Superman, with the cape and the look and everything else, that's who he really is. That S on his chest, that is the House of El. That is a Kryptonian symbol for his family crest. That's who Superman is. His secret identity is him masking himself as a human to be amongst humans. To play a perfect Clark and a perfect Superman is an impossible task. I do get that. David Corningsweet. But I will say, you are more of the Clark and not more of the Superman. And I don't care that you got your ass beat the entire movie. Henry Cavill got beat by the Kryptonians the entire last scene of that movie too. You can say keeping up with the Kryptonians. He got beat by 3 Kryptonians, but that's 3 Kryptonians. That wasn't a tech girl or a fake guy or this thing or a kaiju or a gigantic beast creature. And here's the thing. I'm going to go ahead and say this because during the midst of Superman fighting and saving the city from a gigantic kaiju creature, he flew in to save a squirrel. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that shouldn't have been in the movie. Superman paused action while fighting a gigantic kaiju that was destroying the city to fly in and save a squirrel. That happened. And y'all let that happen. I'm looking at you, Gunn. I'm looking at you, Gunn. You let that happen. Not everything needs to be a joke. Now, I'm going to end this with my actual rating for this movie. I'm going to say it's nickel. Silver. It's nickel. And that's being generous. That's because there are certain moments of this movie that I really felt. Lex Luthor killing that guy on the street in front of Superman to try to get him to talk about his family. You went there. Bravo. Why was that the only moment you did that? We knew Luthor was evil. We understood Luthor was evil. We understood he didn't care about life. Holt did a great job playing a villain. He did a great job playing Luthor the villain. But remember, Luthor is super smart. Why didn't he have the suit in this one? He didn't invent the suit yet? No, I guess not. And here's the thing. If you're going to put members of the Justice League in here, you didn't want to do Wonder Woman because you fired Wonder Woman. You didn't want to do Martian Manhunter. There's a bunch of people you didn't want to do in the Justice League. And I don't know if it's because money didn't happen or you fired the actor or politics took place. Here's the thing. The Justice Society is a league of heroes. True blue, powerful heroes. And they don't leave their members behind to get destroyed, to get dismembered, to get bodied by anything that threatens the presence of Earth. Human, alien, or metamorphic. The fact that Lois went to the Justice League to speak to the Justice Society and they could care less about Superman, you missed the whole point of that comic. You missed the whole point of what Superman was to the Justice League. You missed the whole point of everything in that moment. They are a family. Do they agree all the time? No. Do they fight? Yes. But they are a family brought together by one common focus. The human way of life. They stand for something. It was like I was watching Watchmen. The Justice League would never turn their backs on Kal-El. They had issues in comics and people went crazy and they had some side stories that went on. But as a whole, the Justice League would never turn their back on Kal-El. And when Kal-El needed the League the most, even Batman fought to bring Clark back. He could have killed Clark many times. They fought to keep Clark's humanity and to keep him from being evil. They still saw humanity in him, even when losing Lois and the baby. You've forgotten that in your story. And I'm going to tell you, as a comic book person, as a superhero person, you forgot what makes superheroes super. And you did not display that in your movie. And that, to me, is not a joke. That is a crime. That is an actual crime amongst cinefilms and media. You ain't even got to be superheroes. It's one thing for the world to turn their back on Superman. It's another thing for his friends, the people who know where he comes from. And you even stated it in your movie. His entire planet was destroyed. His family. Everything that people on Earth have, he doesn't. Yet you can't have any emotionality invested into him in this movie. Tell me one person that had Superman's back. Because it wasn't Lois. She was busy trying to break up with him, trying not to talk to him, trying to tear him down over social media. It wasn't the Justice League because nobody gave a damn about him. They didn't even want to go look for him when they knew he was in a pocket universe. It wasn't the people of the world who he saved many times. Why make a movie where everybody hates Superman, including Lex? There's only one villain in the movie. It should be Lex. It shouldn't be the world, the Justice League, his love interest. Do you see where you went wrong there? Nobody had his back. But then you want to try to put the music on the screen. Dun, 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 dun. It's hollow because it means nothing, because you invested no emotionality into anybody in this movie who cared about him. And the one person who cared about him to pick him up out of a hole, you shot in the head with Lex Luthor. You destroyed the one person who had any resemblance of hope and faith in him. That's not just dark. That's not just anti-superhero. That's not Superman. Do you get it? In Spider-Man, when the people stood in front of Spider-Man because he was hurt, they was willing to die for their hero. That was missing in your movie. In the original Superman with Christopher Reeves, people were willing to die for their hero, including Lois. In Superman with Brandon Routh, when he got a kryptonite shank stuck in his back and broke off and kicked into the ocean, and that was the cold shit that Kevin Spacey said, now let's see you fly with that. Lois was there for hope. Lois, his family, were there. They were his strength. In this movie, you made the Kents his strength, which was a good idea. But to possibly see them as flat, zero melancholy people, when they all knew the destiny of Clark, they knew the greatness in their son, you missed that moment as well. There was nothing Superman-ish in his Superman movie. This was just another James Gunn super creature production. This could have just been swapped out with Mr. Terrific and it would have been the same movie. There was nothing Superman in your Superman movie. And that's why I can't give you more than a nickel. Because you, sir, have forgotten what it means to inspire people in a hero. Yes, they're vulnerable. Yes, they have vulnerabilities, but when they're in their darkest moments, it's the people that they fight for, the people they represent, the people that they would die for, that makes them a superhero. And you've forgotten that. And you need to pay attention to that in any kind of movie you make from this point out. So Superman is a nickel here in 24K movies, video game shows, reviews. Of the two movies that I saw, Fantastic Four and Superman, Fantastic Four was the better superhero movie. And I hate to give Marvel credit, because watching the Thunderbolts and the end of the Thunderbolts, you had one job with the Fantastic Four. Tie that shit in to the ship we saw at the end of Thunderbolts. But at the end of the Fantastic Four, you said they'll be back in Doomsday. So what was the ship? What was the Fantastic Four ship coming to 616? The Earth? What? Do you see what I'm saying? I ain't giving Marvel a pass either, but I'm gonna say of the two movies, Fantastic Four, Batman, Fantastic Four to me was a better superhero movie. Hands down. You'll get my review for that maybe today or tomorrow, but yeah, definitely a better movie. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Superman, 24K movies, TV shows, and video games review. We give it a nickel. You can watch it, but if you are a true blue hero fan, if you are a comic book fan, if you are a fan of the genre, you may find some liberties in this movie that you don't agree with, and I don't myself agree with it. He didn't look like Superman. He didn't act like Superman. And this is the only Superman movie I've ever seen in my entire life that I heard Superman yell and cry so much. And here's the thing. Lex Luthor doesn't cry. Why did you make Lex Luthor cry at the end of this movie like a spoiled kid? What was with that? And if I hear Superman yell one more time, and here's the thing. The sun heals him. Why is he being held down like he's in a Saw movie with Jigsaw carving into his body, screaming when sunlight touches him? He's super. Did you forget that? He's Superman. Kal-El. But none of that's really in here. Kal-El, Zor-El, none of that's really in here. The House of El. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I got. Superman, see it if you want to. Take it or leave it. I can leave it. I watched it, but I don't honestly see me watch it again. I have better Superman movies. Anyway, guys, till next time, take care.